Hi, I'm Elisa Zhang, and I am a physician and a life coach. I am a board certified ophthalmologist and a fellowship trained oculoplastic surgeon, and I also have a PhD in neuroscience. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the model. The model is something created by Brooke Castillo, who started the Life Coach School, and that is where I certified as a life coach. So, everything you want in life is because of how you think you will feel when you have it. The feeling that you think you will have in getting it, or the feeling you think you will avoid in not getting it. And feelings are actually created by our thoughts. If we learn how to think on purpose, then we can actually create the feelings we want. Your thoughts are those sentences in your mind, and that is what actually creates our feelings. Our feelings drive all of our actions, or if you're not taking action, it's also because of the way you feel. If you are taking an action you wish you weren't doing, it's also because of how you feel. These actions you take will create the results of your life. And all that is the premise of the model. So what determines the sentences that are running through our heads? Our thoughts are not actually who we are. We can actually take a step back and look at our own thinking. The process of watching the mind think requires you to actually separate yourself from your mind. But if you've ever sat and done that, had thoughts and minds, and then you can actually, sometimes be like, why am I thinking that? Or, you can actually, if you think about how to step away, you can separate yourself and your thoughts. We all have thousands of thoughts, even tens of thousands of thoughts a day. And a lot of us have a lot of negative thoughts. Our brains are actually wired to protect ourselves. But they're a lot less dangerous now than they were when our brains first started evolving. So if you think about it, if you look at kind of, any other animal or even just take mammals, you startle quite easily, especially the lower you're on the food chain, right? If you hear a rustling in the woods and you're walking in the woods, maybe in the back hundreds or thousands of years ago, that could have been a tiger coming out after you and you would have that startle reflex. Nowadays we really just don't have as many of those dangers, but we still have that startle reflex. And we've got kind of our primitive brain, and then we have our more advanced brain. So that primitive brain still often drives what we think and how we feel. So if you think about just even instant gratification, our brain often actually wants us to, go out to what's going to give us pleasure, right? Sugar is pleasurable. That's why we, most of us like to eat dessert. That's why there's a lot of overeating, because sugar is actually a lot more plentiful now than it was way back when. So, if you think back to, kind of caveman times, how much sugar could you really get? Maybe you get a little bit of sugar from, fruit, but there isn't very much out there that is as sweet as like pure refined sugar now. But we're now at a point where we can actually really refine sugar and really get that really high dopamine hit. And our primitive brain is kind of constantly looking to get that dopamine hit and get that pleasure, as well as avoid pain. And so that is what drives us a lot on a very base level. But luckily, as humans, we're actually gifted with the prefrontal cortex, where we can actually plan and think ahead. And that thinking, brings back all those thoughts. And so by, choosing our thoughts, we can actually, create feelings so that we can actually take different actions and have different results. So the first line of the model is actually the circumstance. And the circumstance is something that's neutral, and it's always neutral. It's something that can be proven in court. And it's your thoughts about that circumstance that's really going to, taint the circumstance one way or another. So one thing that I like to use is actually prior authorizations. So as a physician, prior authorizations exist would be the circumstance. And my thought about it is, yeah, they exist so that I have more hoops to jump through to get patient care. They're to block patient care. They're to make it so the insurance company doesn't have to pay. They're a pain in the butt. They take more of my time. All these are thoughts. But you can imagine someone at the insurance company or the CEO of an insurance company, when they think prior authorizations, they think, oh, this was a great invention. This is going to prevent patients from getting care that they shouldn't have or don't actually need. This is going to cut expenses for us. And patients who really need it still can get it. You can actually imagine people in the insurance company actually thinking prior authorizations are a good thing. And so the fact that there are very different, positive and negative thoughts about prior authorizations exist show that the prior authorizations existing is a circumstance, and it's not good or bad inherently in itself. And so then all those things that you think about the prior authorizations can actually, maybe, I think, oh, prior authorizations, deny my patient's care. So that makes me feel mad. And then, I can think about, well, what do I do when I'm mad? And those actions will, produce certain results. And so that's the way it is with all of our thoughts. And sometimes like we don't actually let the thought and feeling actually go to an action. We may actually interrupt at that point and change our thought, but that's how the model works. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that explanation. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope to be able to do a coaching session with you someday. Please feel free to sign up for a free coaching session. Thank you.